Yu-Gi-Oh loves using certain animals to make monsters out of. Dogs, cats, mice, turtles, makes sense, they're all well-known animals, and an animal that appears quite frequently is the rabbit. So we decided to look at Yu-Gi-Oh's catalog of rabbit monsters, and there are approximately 22 not counting rush duels. After this, we thought, why don't we rank the rabbits? But since we don't want to do a top 20 list, we'll split them between two lists. First we'll cover the rabbits of classic Yu-Gi-Oh, and then we'll eventually cover modern Yu-Gi-Oh's rabbits. The cutoff for classic will be cards printed from the start of the game to 2013, for the sole reason that if you take all 22 rabbits in order of original release and cut them down the middle, the last two rabbits of the first 11 were printed in 2013. That's our process. We'll be judging these rabbits on their effects and simply their designs, because some of them are normal monsters. Their ability to be mascots is very important for potential marketing. And joining me is my resident expert on rabbits, cute things, and Yu-Gi-Oh card art reactions, Judgment Meter.
I hope there's as many rabbits in Yu-Gi-Oh as there are rabbits in the world.
Now let's pet the top 10 rabbits in classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Number 10, Dark Rabbit. On the surface, Dark Rabbit is one of those dime a dozen normal monsters from the early days. Level 4 beast, 1100 attack, 1500 defense. Play it if you like it, its defense isn't too bad for an old monster with that level. However, it's got a couple of weird things going on with its release. First off, it was implied to be a toon monster in the manga and anime. In its only duel, it was able to exist on the field before Pegasus activated Toon World, but it was still able to interact with Toon World once it was out, so it not being a toon monster in real life always made it feel odd in retrospect. However, it was just copying its manga counterpart, as Pegasus's other toon-inspired monsters that weren't just regular monsters that were turned into toons like Parrot Dragon or Bakuri Box were not labeled as toons in the manga. They were just normal monsters that functioned as toons. Though I always say that every early Yu-Gi-Oh monster will eventually be retrained, where I can see these three and Toon Alligator being retrained with effects to become official toons, with Dark Rabbit now getting the name Toon Dark Rabbit, and they'll just make the art a panel from the manga. The other oddity about Dark Rabbit is its international release. It feels so random. In Japan, it was released alongside other early normal monsters in 1999. It never made it to the TCG in the early sets of 2002 and 3 that incorporated a lot of cards from the years of releases in Japan, which was standard. Plenty of normal monsters never got brought over. However, for some reason, in the international set Stardust Overdrive, which was released in 2009 during the Synchro era, they included Dark Rabbit and Shine Palace, a related card from the Pegasus duel that's also not a part of the toon archetype in real life. The rest of the set was all modern at the time. I want to know their logic. They did this sometimes in new sets with old unreleased cards, but I still want to know why they chose the two manga-related toon cards that weren't actually toons. We'll probably never know. But hey, Judgment Meter, how about that design? That's what you're here for.
This is like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of scenario, right?
Sort of. He's based on the favorite in-universe cartoon of Pegasus, Funny Bunny.
What is he wearing? Does he just have a tie?
I think that's supposed to be like a royal guard uniform with a sword.
He also has a job, but his feely hands creep me out a little bit.
That being said, his lore is not creepy, just referencing the Funny Bunny cartoon.
He leaps up, down, and all around. Nobody can lay a hand on this Funny Bunny, but he can lay a hand on you.
Number 9, Anaba White Rabbit. This rabbit can attack your opponent's life points directly, with the trade-off that it has a weak 700 attack points. That being said, I used to think these low-stat direct attackers were the coolest thing back in the day. Guys like Servant of Cannibalism, Legul, Jinzo number 7. Since the point of the game was to take down your opponent's life points, I was so excited to get in that chip damage that it took me a while to realize that establishing board presence was way more efficient than inflicting a crumb of damage. You could use momentum busters like Bottomless Trap Hole to stop your opponent from sticking monsters on the field, or floodgates like Gravity Bind to stop your opponent's bigger monsters from attacking, but if you didn't get lucky and draw those cards, your direct attackers were toast. toast. Though Inaba has an extra effect since it was in the first batch of spirit monsters, where any spirit goes back to your hand at the end phase, making me think, wow, now I don't have to worry about my direct attacker getting run over, until I realized once again, I'm not establishing a board presence since my monster keeps coming back to my hand. However, the anime used it in the climax of the Noah duel, so it seemed cooler there since Yugi was on the ropes against it. Plus, it's a rabbit riding a rocket. I know it's based on a folklore, but without the context, it was just a cool-ass bunny that somehow acquired a pilot license.
What? Is it safe on this rocket? It's not like a Danganronpa kind of situation, is it?
No, he has full control of the rocket.
Oh, thank God. Cool, bunnies can be on rockets now. That's so fun. They're so fast. He's a good co-pilot. Or pilot. I don't know his level. It's the hoppity-skippity rocket-roo. This bunny must be super smart because it's surrounded by science.
That's just the spirit world. Number 8, Vanilla. Vanilla came out in the 2011 set Photon Shockwave, which had so many rabbit monsters in it. The most rabbits per capita in any Yu-Gi-Oh release, which you'll hear more about later on this list. This was a random normal monster with high defense, who would have been good if it came out when Giant Soldier of Stone or Spirit of the Harp defense was meta, but in 2011, this card was really just pack filler. It is level 1, so you could use it with cards that like very low level monsters, but its only real advantage on the old big defenders, which were obsolete already, is it has the slim defense buff of 2050 points, being the first monster to ever have that defense value. It's also the first monster to have 150 attack points exactly, so maybe they just wanted to put a few first-time records on this little rabbit. But the real reason I think they made him was for mascot status. They just wanted to make a cute little rabbit with some wholesome lore that would also be able to fend off against Megalo Smasher X. For the lore, it states, well, Judgment Meter, I think you'd prefer to read it.
I do want to read his lore. This rabbit's got a sweet tooth. He's on a quest for the world's sweetest carrot and just wants to nibble carrots all day today, tomorrow, and the day after that. Wow. I love him. What is this? I think he might be high. I love him. He's just this little pom-pom. You can't call this thing a beast. This is a cute pom-pom. A little cotton ball. And it's drooling. My bunny also drools. My new bunny Max, he eats so fast that he chokes a little bit and then he drools.
Number 7, Creepy Coney. Another alumnus of Photon Shockwave here. This card has the flip effect where if it's flipped, you inflict 1000 points of damage to your opponent per normal monster on your side of the field. I don't know. I feel like there's a strategy here if you have a deck that swarms normal monsters, like some unexpected die or rescue rabbit action, but I don't know any cards that let you get a bunch of normal monsters up while still being able to set a flip monster that you can control flipping up. Remember, this card was printed in 2011 when normal monsters and flip monsters were already going out of vogue unless you centered an archetype around them. The best I could say is you would need to get lucky that your opponent doesn't touch any of the normal monsters you set up on your turn, and first attacks into the Coney that you set to flip it for damage before anything else is destroyed. So in the end, I deem this card as useless. It should have come out like 5 years before it actually did. As for the name, in Japanese it was called Death Usagi, or Death Rabbit, and as we discussed on our translated Yu-Gi-Oh names list, if a card had death in its name followed by an animal name or just something else, like Death Koala, Frog, Kangaroo, or Dendel, it would have Des in front of its name for English as mild censorship, since the Japanese pronunciation of death in English is Desu, so this card should have been called Des Rabbit, and I don't know why they didn't go with the naming pattern. The Des name was well established by 2011 when this card came out. The only other death animal that got renamed fully in English was Des Hamster being changed to Bubonic Vermin, but that was a 2002 card before the Des naming pattern was a thing. Also, that name goes kinda hard. Creepy Coney is fun alliteration, but I had no idea Coney was a term for rabbit until this card. And what's so creepy about it? It just looks like a normal ass rabbit.
Wow, why is it so cranky? Is it ready to attack?
Not attack, just deal some burn damage.
It's gonna burn the field?
Just the opponent.
It's gonna burn the opponent? You know, when bunnies are in attack mode, they push their ears forward. It's true, it's legit. He's saying, don't take my carrot, these are my carrot fields. 4 carrots! Those are his fucking carrots. He worked fucking hard. He worked really hard to dig up all those carrots, and to plant them, and to poop them out, and to turn them into compost.
Wait, isn't Vanilla also looking for the world's best carrots? Are they gonna have a standoff?
Oh no, Creepy Coney's gonna kick his ass.
Number 6, Mecha Bunny. This card has the effect when it's flipped face up, you inflict 500 damage, but with extra steps. First, you have to target a card on the field after it's flipped up, and then you inflict 500 damage to the owner of the card you targeted. Logically, you would target one of your opponent's cards to get the damage, but on the off chance your opponent has no cards on the field, you'd be forced to target your own card and inflict damage to yourself. It's like they wanted a potential downside, similar to how Man-Eater Bug had to destroy itself if it was the only monster on the field when it was flipped. But why? Poison Mummy did straight burn damage when it was flipped in 2003, and this card came out around 5 years after that. The good news is, Mecha Bunny does have an extra effect, where if it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, it summons a copy of itself from the deck face down to set it up for another burn damage effect. So it's like the other self-recruiters like Giant Germ or Nimble Mamanga, but with the bonus effect that it's summoned face down to complement your other effect. I like that aspect of it, but it came out too late to be useful. Once again, the cards I'm comparing it to came out in 2003, while this card came out in 2008. As for the design, it reminds me of one of those personal robot pet toys that were sold a lot in the early 2000s, like iDog or Micro Pets or Robo Sapien. Were those actually popular, or did advertisers just think they were popular because it was the new millennium and they seemed futuristic? Also look, it has Love It written on its forehead, which I thought was some random punk pop aesthetic, but it turns out it's wordplay about how the Japanese pronunciation of the English term love it sounds like rabuito, which also sounds like the Japanese pronunciation of the word rabbit, rabito. Not sure if there's a bigger reference here, but it adds an extra quirk to the design.
That one looks cute. That robot rabbit thing. The one that looks like, oh crap. What's that thing from Gundam? That ball that's in that, the ball that's in every Gundam. Chirpy, Halo, Hefty, Chiro.
None of those are its name.
Cappy? No. Look, that. It's green. Haru?
No, you were right with Haro.
Haro, yeah. It looks like Haro. Love its little, teeny little feetsy hoppers.
You love it just like how the words on it say?
Oh my god, I do love it. I love it on so many levels. I want to write it on my forehead.
Number 5, Blade Rabbit. When this card is switched from attack to defense position, it destroys one monster on your opponent's side of the field. Early Yu-Gi-Oh! Loved doing gimmicks with monsters switching battle positions. You had Level Limit, Book of Moon, the Pac-Man cards that could flip up and down, the concept of flip monsters in general, but what this card is most reminiscent of is Clown Control. There were 2 clown monsters in early Yu-Gi-Oh! With similar effects. If Crass Clown is switched from defense to attack position, you can target one monster on your opponent's side of the field and return it to their hand, and Dream Clown can be switched from attack to defense to target and destroy one of your opponent's monsters. Since they were lower level, you could use tricks like Gravity Bind or Level Limit Area B to stop your opponent's level 4 or higher monsters from attacking, and keep your clowns on the field for a turn to switch their battle position during your next turn. Remember, battle was the main way to destroy monsters in early Yu-Gi-Oh!, so this was pretty effective. Blade Rabbit's effect is basically Dream Clown, but you don't have to target to destroy, making it better since your opponent cannot respond to the targeting. Though Blade Rabbit came out towards the tail end of the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Format, so there were more methods by 2004 to get rid of the rabbit while waiting for that turn to change its position, like banishing with the Chaos monsters. But still, the game was slow enough to give it a chance to stick around for the turn. Or you could be cute and use Stumbling, which is a continuous spell that switches all monsters to defense position as soon as they're summoned, meaning Blade Rabbit's effect triggers right away. As for how he destroys those monsters, I assume it's with one of those various blades, but which one?
Vampire bunny? And an eye patch? Does it have a tattoo also?
It does. To be honest, I've never looked at it this up close, so I never noticed all these details.
And leather and nail polish. His nail polish is green because he loves celery.
And why are there music notes everywhere? I feel they really went all out with this artwork. I already liked him for the effect, but now I like him for the flavor. Number 4, Rabbit Dragon. This card is here mostly for that design, but as a normal monster, it is somewhat interesting. amazing. It's yet another rabbit from Photon Shockwave, and a monster designer must have had a rabbit quota to fill when making this set, since a level 8 normal monster with no archetype does not feel like it's from 2012. Feels like something that you would more see in the early sets, since it's a 2 tribute haymaker, but still weaker than the Blue Eyes White Dragon in terms of attack, so it doesn't overshadow the big boss. It's more on par with Tri-Horn Dragon or Cosmo Queen. It does have the distinction of being the normal monster with the highest combined stat line, which is random, but nominally it holds a record: 2950 attack, 2900 defense. I just feel there's gotta be at least one other normal monster out there with a higher combination, but nope, it's this guy. Though Konami did do their best to make Rabbit Dragon as relevant as they could for the time. A level 8 light dragon is probably the best type combination for random relevant effects, like Hieratic or Tradon or the eventual Blue Eye stuff. That being said, you'd probably only use it for the meme factor. It's a rabbit combined with a dragon. The design looks surprisingly badass while still having floof to spare, and of course, the lore is a bit silly. It's a snowfield dwelling, giant ear sporting, super acoustic, snowball shaped mutant dragon. There's no way anybody can escape.
Super acoustic? Because it's a bunny, and bunnies have good ears. They have good hearing. Except bunnies with long ears are usually deaf.
Wait, long ears like this?
No, long down floppy ears. I'm just throwing out some bunny knowledge for everybody.
Also, I had nowhere to put this, but here's Judgment Meter 2 minutes ago when she learned of Rabbit Dragon's existence.
It's a what? I do like it though. It's like the dragon from the Neverending Story, because it's fluffy, but there's a whole lot going on. I like that it has paws.
Number 3, Wind-Up Rabbit. This is the only rabbit in an archetype on this list, which should not be that surprising since archetypes were not popularized right away in early Yu-Gi-Oh, but still feels weird. Wind-ups are machines based on wind-up toys of animals and fighters, with their bosses being bigger toy machines. Since they're an Xyz archetype, they do like to swarm a bit to get out their bosses, but their other feature is they have effects that can only be used once while the cards are face up on the field. Stuff like bouncing, level changing, attack boosting, only once unless you can get them off the field and summon them again. But here's where Wind-Up Rabbit comes in. It has the quick effect where you can target any wind-up you control and banish it until your next standby phase. This effect is good at dodging any battle or effect destruction, since in 2011 Yu-Gi-Oh, you could survive a few turns and getting that monster back a turn later could enable some new plays. However, the other reason it has the quick banish in return is after the wind-up monster returns to the field, it erases anything it did on the field the first time, so all those once while face up effects reset so you can use them again as new. Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of technicalities, so this is how you get around the lawyer clauses on all the cards. The effect is slow for modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but this was a strong effect when the card came out. And when did this card come out? That's right, Photon Shockwave. They snuck yet another rabbit in under all those wind-ups.
Oh my god, it's a Metabot. Where do I plug it in? It looks so springy. I can just imagine it going boing, 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 boing. It looks like it's gonna do 5-finger punch, bunny slap, shining finger.
Number 2, Kalantosa, Mystical Beast of the Forest. Kalantosa is a monster that's become more relevant in rogue strategies over the years. Its effect is, if it's special summoned by the effect of a beast monster, it can target and destroy one card on the field. As nice as a free pop was, needing a beast to special summon it was kinda tough when it came out. It was released at the very end of 2013 in Japan, where the only beast monsters that could special summon it to my knowledge were Giant Rat and Baby Raccoon Tantan, the latter of which was a fun gimmick to go into the rank 2 raccoon boss. Tantan has the flip effect that summons a level 2 beast from deck, so it seemed like Kalantosa was just involved in a gimmick for the 3 raccoon monsters, and that's not enough to make up a full deck. However, fast forward to 2020 when we got the Melfi archetype. They're all level 2 beasts that love swapping with each other to trigger their effects, some of which involve summoning level 2 beasts like themselves. And you know who else is a level 2 beast? Our buddy Kalantosa. So now there's a consistent way to get him out. Then add in the sprite monsters that came out a few years later, which also benefit from level 2s, and Kalantosa was a piece involved in a meta deck for a while. As for its design, it reminds me of Shaman, or a Chia Pet. I'm really showing the range of its mysticism.
Oh, I freaking love it. What is this? It's a bunny that has, what are those called? Like aloe crap on its back. That would be such a good gift for me. I used to have this bunny shoe scraper thingy. So it looked like that bunny, but on the back it had spiky things. So you'd scrape your boot off of it.
However, the only thing Calantosa scrapes is monsters off the field.
Well, hopefully not my field. It's my bunny.
Well, maybe I have one too.
No!
Now, Calantosa, attack her life points directly.
It's eating my hair!
As mentioned in the intro, there are approximately 22 rabbits in Yu-Gi-Oh! With 11 eligible for this list, meaning there's a single honorable mention left off, Bujingi Hare. This would have been another rabbit in an archetype, and it was released in the last set of 2013 in Japan, also just making the cut. Bujin is an archetype of beast warrior godly creatures based on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX characters. They have animals of light that activate their effects from the hand or in the graveyard when a Bujin Beast Warrior is on the field. Hare can quick effect banish itself from the graveyard to protect one of your Bujins from a single hit of destruction for the turn. Good for the time. No real reason it did not make the list. I mainly just had the least interesting things to say about it, both in terms of effect and design.
I like how its butt's in the air, because that gives you more torque.
For number 1, I felt like there was a clear winner, a monster that had a pretty busted effect for when it was released and is still pretty cool today, but even beyond that, it has staying power as a mascot. Seems pretty obvious to me. Number 1, Rescue Rabbit. A reoccurring series of monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the Rescue Squad. They're little animals with hard hats and tools to save other animals in the wild, but prior to 2011, there was just one, Rescue Cat. Send it to the graveyard and it summoned 2 level 3 or lower beast monsters from the deck, but destroy them at the end phase, and still, that was broken. So it was banned, and then the effect was made weaker on re-releases to negate the effects of the monsters you summoned, and you could only use this effect once per turn. Still, Konami liked this effect where we got a second member of the Rescue Gang in 2011, the Rabbit. And wouldn't you know, it was released in Photon Shockwave. Rescue Rabbit is similar to the cat, where it special summons 2 monsters from the deck by leaving the field, but instead, the rabbit banishes itself and can special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters from the deck that get destroyed at the end of the turn. But it's 2011 Yu-Gi-Oh! The era of Xyz summoning. They're not going to be on the field by the end of the turn. Use Rescue Rabbit to summon 2 normal monsters with the same level, and pick your favorite Xyz monster. Maybe you can do some shenanigans with archetypes that have a normal monster in them, but near 100% of the time, you were using this guy to get out Xyz material. The most famous strategy involving this was called Dino Rabbit. There's an archetype called Evil Czar, whose 2 rank 4 Xyz bosses just needed 2 level 4 dinosaurs to summon themselves, and they had great effects. Logia could negate a summon, spell, or trap, and Dolka negates monster effects. So players would pick some level 4 normal dinosaurs to put in their decks, usually Sabersaurs or Kabazels since they had the highest attack of those choices, and use Rescue Rabbit to get out the dinos to summon the Xyz monsters. This strategy was so good, it caused Rabbit to be limited for a bit, but then the game meta changed and Rabbit was brought back as is. While its meta days are behind it, Rescue Rabbit seems to have come out on top of the Rescue Squad in terms of mascot status. To this day, Konami releases plushies of it, and in their main video game Master Duel, the default mate to set your mascot as is Rescue Rabbit, so they clearly want to push the Rescue Rabbit marketing. But does it work? Well, Judge-O-Meter, is it good?
This is a bunny with a job if I've ever seen one.
I always considered him to be second in command of the Rescue Squad.
Who's the leader then?
The cat, both because he came first and he has the whistle.
Well, his helmet's not even clipped on. Clearly he's doing something wrong. You're not ready if your helmet's not clipped. His helmet's clipped. He's ready for action.
Well, maybe his helmet's more important to him because he has to banish himself for his effect.
Why would you ever want to banish him? He's a baby.
But I need my 2 normal monsters.
Baby.
Okay, but think of it this way. If you banish him, then you can get 2 of the normal rabbits we discussed earlier.
I guess if you save 2 bunnies, that will be worth it.
Great! Now do you want to see him punch a giant beast?
I can't even. He's so happy.
So for being a cuddly friend who can help you summon some not so cuddly friends, Rescue Rabbit is the best of the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Rabbits. Now, what did you think? Did all these rabbits rank right, or do some of these bunnies belong below where we put them? And give us some of your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh rabbits in the comments. We do have a follow-up list to make someday. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.